Hello and welcome. Pharmaceutical giant Novartis has been in India for many, many decades, but it's also been in India for the last 2 decades in the form of its business services center, which essentially is to create the capability and the skills to service Novartis globally for across a range of functions. The big question now is how are these adding up and what is the cumulative expertise that a company like Novartis has accumulated mean when it comes to delivering high quality consumer service or services back to the head office? Well, I'm joined by Daniel Rose, Head of Operations and Strategy at Novartis Business Services, to answer that question. And Dan, thank you very much for being here. So, first question, you've been here for a long time now. You were set up in 2001 and ahead of many other global capability or captive centers. So, define the landscape to us today?
You make a point. I've been here. We've been here for a long time. Just to share my background, I'm 7 months with Novartis, so I'm taking over quite a significant.
Syngenta earlier.
Yeah, that's right. And we had quite a heritage in centers as well. So yeah, as I step in, I'm providing leadership for a very mature enterprise center setup. So we've got 5 around the world, and Hyderabad is the biggest and the one that we associate as the global capability center. As I sort of look at the capability set, it varies where we are. If we were thinking about a maturity model, sort of level 1 early days, level 2 sort of bringing the centers together with multiple service lines, and then level 3 sort of orchestrating multifunctional outcome orientation. I would say we're sort of at that maturity level in a few things that we do. We have a consultancy part of our business services, which has an extremely high net promoter score as an example. But in all of the other service lines and around the world, we're embarking now on a fairly significant transformation journey to bring it all together up to that very, very powerful and very, very business relevant level.
Right, and tell us about this transformation. What does it entail? What is the role that Hyderabad or Dublin or Kuala Lumpur is going to play in that?
Yeah, sure. So inside the program, we're referring to that part of the change as empowering the GCCs. And working on some strategy earlier this week, I came in to sit with the team and really think through the strategic moves that we would make. And the model that we're starting to think about, that we think has good influence in terms of how to think about that operating model, is the same one that digital platforms use. So if you think about what a Hyderabad can be as a working example, it can be a multi-sided platform. So it can, because of the nature of India, the talent that we have, and the digital ecosystem, it can have a side which is about talent acquisition. It can have a side which is about connecting to the digital ecosystem and innovation. And of course, it must have a side which is totally connected to clients and customers receiving services or other capabilities from the center. And that is kind of like a win-win-win model that we would want to begin emphasizing, not just in Hyderabad, but also in the other centers. So sort of that, coupled with a few other ways to think about how we take friction out of the system, and then also create a positive network effect where every interaction, either with digital ecosystem or with client or with employees or potential employees, is a positive interaction, we think is really important in terms of really cementing the GCCs as the engine of productivity and innovation for this company going forward.
Right, and when you look at let's say global clinical trials or other biostatistics, I mean, so what's the kind of role that you see for going forward using, let's say, more the artificial intelligence, ML, the whole digital construct?
Yeah, it's all there, and one of the I think one of the more powerful features of what we've got set up here in India and in Hyderabad is that center, about 5,500 employees. 2,500 of them work in global drug development, so, and it has been in place for quite some time. So the concept of actually having a leading capability center is not a new concept, and it's a well-known brand in other parts of our business, which actually makes the probability of the global business service part of what we do, a much more tangible target to go after, because big part of the company already gets it. I think our CEO gets it very well as well. And so the potential is there to go deeper, as you describe, into using digital techniques to accelerate everything we do.
Right. So, and when you say half are focused on drug development, it's really that, which means that they're not technology people, which is what someone from outside would have assumed.
Yeah, well, they're pharmaceutical professionals.
Yeah.
They're pharmacists. They're doctors. They're all of the skill sets that you would expect to have in a GDD. And there are leadership positions as well, which
right.
is
And you, I mean, you're doing drug development on one end. You also have a generics business as Sandoz.
Yep.
Is that something that you play a role in as well, and how, if so?
Yeah, so we provide a full complement of services to the entire enterprise, Sandoz being part of that. Yeah, as a generics part of our company, cost pressure is very sensitive. It's very much on our mind inside MBS as well. So yeah, strategically, absolutely, we've got to have an offer that fits.
Right.
For sure.
So when you look forward now, I mean, you have a 20-year tailwind behind you as a business services center. So what do you see? What are the new and exciting things that you see ahead in either delivering something or creating something right here?
Yeah, I think in the strategy right now today, if I were to lay it out in more detail, the role of the center, whether it be Hyderabad or Dublin or Kuala Lumpur or Mexico City, Prague, is elevating substantially, certainly within the business services strategy, but I think corporately as well. And so this idea of using a platform metaphor and other metaphors that go with platform business, like having friction-free APIs, ways to get things in and out and done in the centers, and moving, to have a segmented set of services, servicing the service lines, but also servicing business use cases in multifunctional, multidiscipline ways, is the direction you're going to see us starting to go. And you'll see it in Hyderabad, and you'll see it in other places around the world. Also, I think, strategically, having not just an impact on innovation and our path into digitization of the company, but also a tangible and continuingly relevant impact to the P&L. So productivity and always being super efficient at what we do will be emerging. We should see that in our performance.
Right. And when you look at India against other markets, okay, maybe not against, in contrast to other markets or other centers that you are in, what are the significant strengths that India has or will have? And this is not necessarily a Novartis question, but something that you would look at. And you're present in sufficient continents and cities to have a sense of how talent and skills pan out around the world.
Yeah, that question has come up in the open forums a couple of times this week, and I'm sitting in the audience going, ooh, ask me, because if you go back to that metaphor of multi-sided platform, where else would you want to be? And certainly in Hyderabad, that the innovation side of connecting to digital innovators, be they very, very large, like Microsoft, Google, and others, but some of these small niche players who are working in AI and automation in some innovative areas that we would like to usher into the company, you wouldn't want to be anywhere else. So certainly one of our cornerstone elements of the strategy is always going to be tapping into the talent base and the digital ecosystem that's present here. Now, that's not exclusive. There are other places in the world where that happens, but certainly here it's a major value proposal.
That's a good note to end on. Thank you so much, Dan, for speaking with us.
My pleasure. Thanks.
Thank you.